Oral questions. Question orale. The honourable member for Portage-Lisker.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women to do nothing. Well, yesterday, while this Prime Minister and his cabinet did nothing, this House united under the leadership of our Conservative Party, and we did something. And with one voice, we said genocide is happening in China. And what we do next matters. We've used Magnitsky sanctions against some others, but never against members of the Chinese government. Will the Prime Minister admit his approach to China has failed to defend Canadian values? And will he impose sanctions against those running Uyghur detention camps?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. Our government takes any and every allegation of genocide extremely seriously. Yesterday's vote in Parliament ensured that every member in this House could make a determination for themselves on available evidence and to express that honestly and clearly. And the government welcomes the voice of Parliament yesterday and the voice of parliamentarians united on this issue. But the government has additional responsibilities and will continue to work with international partners, multilateral bodies, and ensure that we find a way to bring health, bring justice, and bring fairness to Uyghur people in Western China. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, member for Portage-Lisker.
Well, the government's lack of a voice yesterday, the lack of speaking out, spoke volumes, and it was very weak and it was disappointing. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Health Committee heard that the Liberals' vaccine response is slow and a risk to national security, a chaotic process that has left Canadians 54th in terms of vaccinations. Other countries are planning their reopening in the next several months, while Canadians were stuck in lockdowns with no end in sight. How in the world are 300,000 Canadians going to get vaccinated every day at this rate? And does the government know how many Canadians need to be vaccinated so the lockdowns can end?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say to begin that 643,000 doses of vaccines are arriving in Canada this week, the majority of which have been delivered, and this is our largest shipment to date. By the end of the week, 2.5 million doses will have been delivered, and another 3.5 million are arriving in the month of March. We will see 6 million doses cumulative this trimester. We will see 29 million doses cumulative in the second quarter and 84 million doses of Pfizer and Moderna prior to the end of September. All Canadians who wish to have a vaccine will...
Member for Portage-Lisker.
Canadians have been locked down now for almost a year. Mental health is at a breaking point, business is dying, and there's no hope for opening up. And now new variants are starting to spread across the country. And the Prime Minister's plan would only see 8% of Canadians vaccinated by April. This is their plan, Mr. Speaker, so it's up to them to be clear and honest. Can the Health Minister tell us if she has any idea how many Canadians need to be vaccinated before we can begin to open up like other countries are already planning?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to take issue with the initial part of that question, which suggests that the Liberals don't have a plan. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, the plan has been in place for months. We have negotiated 7 agreements with leading vaccine suppliers for a total of up to 400 million doses. From approved suppliers alone, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are all going to have access to a vaccine prior to the end of September, if not before. And that is the promise that this government has made. And it's a plan that we're sticking with. Thank you, Mr.